Good morning. Thanks for attending. This is our first real go at introducing Lyft to our Macomb County businesses. I am Vicki Rowinski. I'm the director for Macomb County Planning and Economic Development. I've been following Lyft for many, many years. They've gone through great iterations in the innovation that they've been able to bring to the Institute. Last year, we had some introductory conversations, meeting some of the new team members, which was a phenomenal thing for us to see. Actually got a virtual tour, which you're going to get today, and it's exciting to see what they're doing over there at Lyft. As we proceed through this presentation, just some administrative things. There is a chat feature, and so you can submit questions. We will be able to respond to those. You'll hear from Lyft, and then if you can stick to the very tail end, you'll get that same virtual tour that we received back last year, which is phenomenal. You know, I'll tell you, the one thing that I appreciate about Lyft and the Institute is, just the foundation. The goal of this particular institution is to really advance American manufacturing in the United States. There are very few centers out there that do this, and we're very lucky that we've got this here in the Detroit region. So before we kick off, I'm going to introduce our County Executive, Mark Hackle. I was just looking at your bio, Mark, and it's amazing to think that you've been with Macomb County for over 10 years as our county executive. Great leadership on your part. We always joke around that you are our chief marketing officer because you kind of rolled right with the punches, knowing that we've got this great manufacturing base in Macomb County, and it continues to grow. So with that, Mark, I will hand it off to you.
Yeah, 30 years prior to that being the sheriff, I had a lot to learn. And thankfully, we had people like you, Vicki, that truly understood a lot of what was going on with manufacturing and obviously planning, economic development, because it's gotten us to where we're at. I mean, I think Macomb County has always been on the map, but marketing that, get people truly understand, who and what we're all about was extremely important. And manufacturing, without question, is our sweet spot. And that's something you opened my eyes to. Back when I was a police officer, I was opening my eyes to people that were driving inappropriately on the roadways and trying to figure out how do you address some of the issues that people kind of get themselves engaged in. Maybe that puts them in a wrong place. But with that, I can't really thank you enough, Vicki, for allowing me at least an opportunity to kind of speak a little bit and market, what we're doing here in Macomb County. But if you think, I got to go back pre-COVID, everything is COVID. March 13th, everything just kind of turned around here in Macomb County. That was our first case, March 13th, 2020, by the way, almost a year ago. And, I think Oakland, as well as Wayne County, had the very first cases in the state. That was March 11th. 2 days later, we got ours. And it was still kind of uneasy. People weren't sure what was going on. But then within a month, everybody come to the realization there's a problem and we need to figure out what we're doing. But there was a complete shutdown. I mean, if you remember, they shut down everything. There was stay-at-home orders and lockdown of facilities, even manufacturing. And the big question is, how do we provide PPE? And what do we do to keep people safe? But prior to that, we had so much going on here in Macomb County. We were recognized around the globe as the county that had the most, if you will, job growth in manufacturing. And I guess just 8-10 years prior to that, we were worried about manufacturing, what was going to happen. But then to come to the realization, just pre-COVID, we were leading everything from automotive and defense, IT. Everything with robotics. I mean, stuff that's going on here in healthcare. It's incredible what was happening. COVID hits and really put us in a position of trying to figure out what's going to happen. And is this just going to be a month or two? And obviously now a year later, we're still concerned about where we're headed. And, I got to say, I went around with some folks from planning to some of these facilities because we were wondering about PPE. And we always talk about that concept of consumer. We're unchallenged here in Southeast Michigan, always have been. I mean, we've had decades, if not centuries, of a history of making things that we can dream up, and to be able to do it here with the workforce that we have. I was amazed by what happened even during this pandemic. Going to some of these manufacturing facilities, they transformed themselves within weeks to try to figure out how do they retool to make PPE. They weren't being asked to do so by some defense act. They were doing this themselves. They were making PPE, masks. They were making gowns at a couple of these facilities and even ventilators. And again, it was interesting to listen at the national scale and even the folks that were talking, from the news, national news about how, this is going to be, they're going to try to force these manufacturers to do this. They didn't have to do that, not here. These folks were making it. And I was truly amazed because A lot of them were supposed to be staying home, but they came out and they said, you know what, we'll risk that because we know we can do something. And I think it was more that curious nature and trying to figure out, can they do it? And they did. And today where we sit now, obviously we got more PPE and we'll know what to do with. I think we're stockpiled for probably the next 100 years, which is a good thing, you know. But again, just to see that, and again, that's not my background, you know, manufacturing and truly understanding that. But to see the passion that the people had that, you know, own these facilities and the people that work at these facilities to think about something and figure out how can we make this happen and then bring it to reality truly was amazing. And it made me sit back and think, you know, after COVID, you know, post-COVID, we're going to be okay. And I think we're getting there. And I'm so glad to be here today talking about this rather than vaccines, PPE, and everything else that, you know, that you hear on the news all the time, because I think we're starting to realize we're getting out of this and we're going to. And so what's next? And the LIFT program, and I know, I don't think Nigel's with us, but I have a history with Nigel. You know, he's incredible. First time I met him, you can't help it when it comes to a guy like Nigel. First time you meet him, you talk to him, you're thinking, okay, this guy's my buddy now. I mean, there's something about him, you know, he's very unique. So, you know, Kevin and Joe, I appreciate you being on and kind of giving some insight as to what's going on with LIFT and what we can do here to try to transform, if you will, manufacturing, specifically when it comes to recruiting talent and getting people that, you know, that we know have the abilities, but how do we do that in, you know, this post-pandemic? And how do we get them trained and educated so we can continue to be leaders in manufacturing in Southeast Michigan? And I know we can. We talk about our new collar workers, you know, their ability to understand things differently and getting away from that blue collar worker, looking at facilities. And, you know, I'm looking at the background over here. And I'm seeing, I see stone and I see the manufacturing facility. I can't tell which one that is. Which one is that, Vicki?
Hi, I'm Addie. So I have a double last name.
That's what I'm going. That threw me right off. I'm going, holy cow! You know, that would have been a tough one. But yeah, no, I'm looking at the facility behind you, and again, that's Macomb County. I mean, the transformation of what's going on in our manufacturing facilities. It's not that grungy blue collar worker anymore. I mean, these folks are truly, you know, it's high tech. They understand computers and, you know, how to work with that. So the question is, how do we, you know, this post pandemic, how do we get people to educated and to understand what they can do from this concept to consumer and make things. And so, you know, this uniqueness of trying to figure out how do you do this hybrid online theory based learning and stuff like that to this performance activity based, you know, assessment stuff to kind of get them, you know, trained, and not just people in the military, but just average person that really wants a good high paying job at some of these facilities. And I understand, you know, from listening to Vicki and our team here, they've had an opportunity to tour the facilities in the design area and, you know, spoke with them. So again, from the county, yeah, I just got to tell you, LIFT has got the highest rating, I think, anywhere in the entire country nationally. And that's from our planning and economic development experts. Vicki and her team are telling us they've got the stamp of approval here in Macomb County. I'm going to tell you, that's quite a testament. So, you know, I'm excited about what you're going to be able to do for manufacturing and helping educate people and get them trained to deal with the workforce of not tomorrow, but today, moving into tomorrow. So I'm excited, and I can't thank you enough for bringing this here to Macomb County specifically. And Vicki, thank you for leading this on behalf of the county, and not only manufacturing, but people who are looking for good paying jobs. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And you know, we can't emphasize enough when we look at the pandemic, you know, our manufacturers were deemed essential. You know, there's a reason why we need you to continue to do what you do. And as Mark emphasized, the need for that PPE, that call to action, many of you guys just did it, just took the initiative and ran with it because there was a need. And as we look at our strategic plan and economic development, you know, we pulled together a strategy last year and we had to pivot, because we had to focus on the small businesses that really had to shut their doors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, when we look at 2021 and beyond, you know, we want to get back to our business focus. Starting in February 1, we kicked off our strategy focusing on professional services. Those are those high-tech engineering jobs that Mark talks about. You know, we see rapid growth in this area. Most people, when they think of Macomb County, they think that we are that blue collar manufacturing. And yes, we were that. But statistically, we're 60% white collar. We've pivoted in looking at those high tech jobs, high wages. A lot of them do require that talent piece. And so looking at partners such as LIFT that offer two pillars. One is technology and the other being talent. that it is definitely a great solution for many of our businesses to know about. And so with that, I want to introduce Kevin Kerrigan. I have known Kevin as well as Nigel for many years. Nigel, formerly the auto czar at MEDC. Kevin, who oversees he's the vice president for business development at Lyft. But I'm going to give you a title, Kevin, today, and that is our talent czar. You understand both what that technology piece is, and then how do we infuse new talent and technology into that pipeline. So with that, Kevin, I'll kick it off to you.
Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm sure if I go to my wife and say I'm the talent czar, she's going to say that very nice, but you go buy some milk and do this.
or take out the garbage. I'll go take out the garbage.
It only goes so far. Well, firstly, thank you so much to Vicky and you, Mark, for having us here. Honestly, we recognize Macomb as one of the centers of industry in the United States, not just in Michigan. I mean, I think that you have a reputation for manufacturing, and I think that the combination of what we're trying to do and what Macomb is doing, I think is boundless. So I just want to say a couple of words. Then Joe is actually going to do an overview of Lyft, of what we're about, and then we're going to do a tour of Lyft and show everybody the facility. But just to sort of calibrate everyone, we're one of 16 national manufacturing institutes. They were put together in 2013, 2014. We were stood up in Detroit in 2014. We have 100,000 square feet facility in Detroit, which is, it's an engineer's sandbox. It's just a wonderful place to be. One of the motivations for the institutes, and I'm asked this quite regularly, is why? Why would we want advanced manufacturing institutes? And back in the 2012, 13, 14 timeframe, it was recognized that we were losing our edge on manufacturing here in the US because we were offshoring. Everything was going to China, going in other places of the world. And it really started to look like a national security issue. We were starting to lose the edge and lose some of the talent and lose some of the capabilities that we really needed to keep moving forward. Going back to your point, Mark, about the COVID, when that hit on March 13th, it became very apparent that a lot of the PPE that we needed was overseas. I mean, we just didn't have it here. So, industry, companies in Macomb, companies across the entire state of Michigan in the US stood up and said, we can do this, and brought that back into perspective. But I think it really underscored the fact that we need to keep moving forward with advanced manufacturing. And I think we have that momentum behind us now. We need to bring some of the things that we've offshored, bring them back to the county, bring them back to the state, and we're all behind that activity. Lyft is a membership organization. We have over 300 members, and we invite many more people to join. I would like to introduce, and you picked up on the name, Addie Stone Richards, who's sitting there. Addie is the Director of Membership Engagement at Lyft, and I'd like to introduce Addie. So if anybody is interested in becoming a member, they just reach out to any of us, but Addie is really the focal point for that. Addie, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks a lot, Kevin. And I'm thrilled to speak to you all today because I'm the new Director of Membership Engagement at Lyft, and so my basic role is to help you maximize your membership benefits when you come into membership. Generally, that's done through connecting and convening, creating opportunities for members to speak to one another, so member-to-member conversations, and also making sure that I'm have my ear to the ground of the membership to bring stories back to Joe, who heads up our communications, to get those external stories moving out through all of Lyft's portals. So I also work with Kevin closely with the EWD work, which you're about to hear about, and have about 15 years experience in nonprofit program development, classroom experience, grant writing, and all of that kind of rolls up to the EWD work. So I would love to hear from you, and we'll be open and sort of watching the Q&A and open for your emails afterwards. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Perfect. Thanks, Addie. And again, thanks again, Vicky and Mark. And I'm going to hand over to Joe to give us the overview.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Joe Steele. I'm the Senior Director of Communications and Legislative Affairs for LIFT, and this is great. It is an important, Macomb County is an important area for us at LIFT, and has been over our history. But this is the first time where we're kind of convening the membership of the Macomb County business community. So we look forward to presenting this to you and hearing your feedback, and when it's safe to do so, inviting you all down to our facility to tour it live and in person. But in the meantime, hope everyone remains safe and well. So as Kevin mentioned, we are a public-private partnership between the Department of Defense, industry, and academia. We are a nonprofit 501c3 based here in Detroit. We were born in 2014 through the Department of Defense. We were originally managed through the Office of Naval Research, but as you see on the screen here, we have since grown into broadening our base with the Department of Defense and the federal government. So we have a strong relationship in Warren, Michigan with CC, DC, GVSC, lots of acronyms there, but it's the federal government and the Department of Defense, so we kind of get used to that. And then we also have a strong relationship with the Department of Commerce. So, again, our goal really is to drive American manufacturing forward into the future through technology and talent development. And really, it's what we're calling smarter manufacturing. It's not a little bit different from Industry 4.0 that people talk about, and smart manufacturing that people talk about, but we believe it's the connection between materials, processes, systems, and talent to really look at manufacturing holistically, to know that we need to drive these technologies into the future. We need to get them into the hands of the marketplace. We need to get them into the hands of the warfighter, but we also need to make sure that the talent pipeline exists. So that is what we're calling smarter manufacturing, because on that rests our national economic security and resiliency. And we believe that the next region, the next area around the world that tackles this and really has a handle on it is going to come out first. And we obviously want that to be the United States of America. And more locally, we want it to be based here in Michigan. So we kind of call that the manufacturing equation, materials plus processes plus systems plus talent. All of that together is what we are doing to drive American manufacturing forward and into the future. So as was mentioned, we really have two programs at LIFT that we run. The first is our technology program, which is run by our Chief Technology Officer, Hadrian Rory, called Leading Innovations for Tomorrow. And then there's the talent side of the equation, is run by Kevin and his team, Learning Innovations for Tomorrow. So both of those put together our makeup LIFT and everything that we do. For the manufacturers in the room, the engineers in the room, this probably looks very familiar to you. This is the manufacturing readiness level and kind of where we live in that world. We know that they're on the early stage of the MRL scale. In the research level, there's a lot of investment, a lot of opportunities there, and then also on the opposite end, the commercialization end, there's a lot of funding there as well. Where it gets lost is what's called the Valley of Death, which is in the middle, the areas between 4 to 7. That's really where we live. We want to help shepherd these innovations across that Valley of Death, from research into commercialization, again, so we can keep our manufacturing sector healthy and robust. And you can see where the materials, processes, and systems fit along that continuum, along with talent. Talent really runs the gamut. As you'll find out later, we're working with high school students up to we work with PhD students, and we work with adult learners and folks that are ready to take the next step in their career. So as Kevin mentioned, we are a membership-based organization. So what do we do as a membership-based organization? Well, we are a trusted advisor. We like to say we're Switzerland. We're not, providing any winners or losers. We're trying to provide people the best advice that we can give, provided our in-house from our in-house experts, along with our experts across the ecosystem, to help, particularly small to medium-sized companies transition towards that smarter manufacturing future. Oftentimes their OEM customers are well down that line, but the small to medium-sized companies are just, they're trying to get through the day-to-day don't have time or the resources to really invest in that. So we are here as a resource to help provide that directional advice. We are a technology accelerator, again, carrying those technologies from research into commercialization. Technology showcase, we will show that later, but really want to show the art of the possible, what really happens when you connect the materials, processes, and systems. We have that going on each and every day at our facility. We are a connector and a convener. Again, that's why we're all here today. So thank you again for joining us. We want to make sure that we're connecting government, industry, academia, from the federal level to the state level to the local level, the county level. We are here to make those connections and make sure that those dots are all aligned, so everyone knows what is going on to move that manufacturing sector forward. We are a talent developer. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on, but again, helping the students along the manufacturing or the education continuum. And then finally, a government partner. We are, again, partners with the Department of Defense, partners with the Department of Commerce. We want to help make sure that we are eliminating any barriers for organizations to work with the federal government. We know there's a lot of innovation. Most innovation takes place at the small to medium-sized company level, but we also know it's a challenge to work with the federal government when you're a small company. So we want to be that conduit to help make life easier for those organizations. A little bit of lift by the numbers. Since we were born in 2014, we've had $200 million plus invested in our technology and talent development programs. We've got more than 300 members across the ecosystem. We average pre-COVID, and actually during COVID, but pre-COVID physically, we averaged 5,000 visitors to our facility over the year. I mean, that's more. People invest a lot of money in trade shows and things like that, but we'll get more traction at a location like LIFT. And we've actually been able to do that virtually by hosting a lot of virtual events and kind of kept that momentum going over the course of this last year. At any day, again, pre-COVID, we might have 120, 130 students in our facility, in our learning lab, from at the high school level, folks earning credentials in welding and CNC, they'll be there, field trips, anything like that. We are a think and do tank, right? We're thinking, we're showing, we're a showcase, but we're also doing the work. Again, mentioned it was a 100,000 square foot facility over in Corktown. You can see it on my screen here. It was a much nicer day when I took that picture. But inside that facility behind Addy, you see there's $50 million plus of equipment that we have there that is ready and able to be used by our membership. Again, quick look at our government partners. We are a trusted advisor across the federal government that continues to grow with the DOD, ONR, GVSC, and Department of Commerce. I want to call this out because this was a big deal for us this past July to sign that agreement with the U.S. Army over in Warren, Michigan, to continue the research and development work to directly help mission preparedness and effectiveness. So that is, we have a lot of work going on with GVSC out of Warren, Michigan. So very happy to be a partner with those guys and call Macomb County an even stronger partner than it had been in the past. Quick snapshot of our industry membership. Talk a lot about the DoD work that we do with the Army and the Navy, but really it is our industry members. So that are really driving what we do. So this is a quick snapshot. Obviously, we are, again, a membership-based organization, and we have different levels of membership. You can talk to Addy about those different levels and what those benefits might bring to you. But again, we run the gamut from large companies, Boeing and Lockheed and Siemens, to small, 2-3 person organizations like Lifeline Fire Hose, who came out with a design of a fire hose to provide breathable air to firefighters as they're fighting the fire through the same hose that the water is going through. So we work with them on that. So, innovation happens at those small companies, but again, we're able to take that, and we actually showed that design at the Pentagon, to be able to take these innovations forward and try to help those small to medium-sized companies gain a foothold in the marketplace. We also, academia. government, industry, and academia. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the research and academic institutions we work with around the country. Again, large brand name organizations, Michigan, the Ohio State University, two of our founding members, along with, with MIT, but we're also working locally. Very close relationship up in the Great White North with Michigan Tech, and locally here with Lawrence Tech and Oakland University. So we, again, we have a national mandate as a national innovation institute, but we do focus locally and want successes here in the great state of Michigan and particularly Southeast Michigan. Quick snapshot of some of our Macomb County members. Again, GVSC is there, Siemens is there. I know you guys are part of Automation Alley, even though it's over in Oakland County. General Dynamics, Data Tech Cafe kind of manages all of our IT support. We have projects going on with Jones Engine, and I will actually talk about Sterling Heights Stevenson High School a little bit later on as well. All right, so we'll get into a little bit of the technology area. So I mentioned the technology piece is leading innovations for tomorrow. And again, if you have questions, we have the Q&A section going on in the toolbar. I see that the chat is blowing up over there. I know Addie's taking a look at that. So if you have questions, please submit them over there. But I talked a little bit about the leading innovations for tomorrow. Really have 4 areas of focus, our 4 pillars of technology. And those of you who may have heard of LIFT from the past, when we were born back in 2014, our focus was really on materials research, a little bit of process, but mostly materials as it relates to metals, and really focused around lightweighting. But as we've grown as an institute, that's where we came to the realization that we needed to expand our thought and expand our view to connect materials, processes, and systems, that it wasn't enough to be siloed just in the metallics area or just in the lightweighting area. We wanted to make sure that we were broadening that. So that's why we came up with these 4 pillars recently. ICME has kind of always been in the background of what we've done, integrated computational materials engineering. Because we want to make sure that we know the material characteristics before it's processed or after it's processed. We want to make sure that it's predictable. Every manufacturer wants to know that the next part they make is going to be the same as the part before and the same as the part before that. So as we're dealing with new materials, as we're dealing with new processes, to be able to quantify these and make sure that we know the characterization of the materials, that is critical. Agile and smarter manufacturing. We'll talk a little bit about that, but new technologies and new processes like wire arc additive manufacturing and incremental sheet forming. How can we use those in ways that make sense for the marketplace and for the DoD? Advanced alloy and process development, again, going back into our history in metals, and then multiple material joining the same way. Here in the auto industry, I know you guys know. One of the challenges is really, how do we get these materials to get along? How do we join them in a way that makes sense? So this is a little bit deeper dive into those four pillar areas. Highlighted hypersonics materials development, because we're trying to work with the federal government to bring hypersonics to the state of Michigan. Those are weapon systems, by the way, that go Mach 5 and north. We want to catch up to our adversaries around the world, and that's going to involve a lot of different materials, a lot of different processing systems. So we're working with the feds on that. So again, more information on this is available on our website at lift.technology, or again, reach out to us directly. So over on the talent side, learning innovations for tomorrow. Really, it's about new tools, new pathways, and venues. And one of the new tools that we have is a curriculum that we developed with funding from the Department of Defense called Ignite Mastering Manufacturing. And this is where we have students coming to our facility pre-COVID each and every day to take part in this 3-year curriculum to really learn and get immersed in advanced manufacturing, starting with materials science to hands-on and virtual experiences in our LIFT Learning Lab. As you can see in the picture here, it's empty there, but the LIFT Learning Lab is where we host these students each and every day. Now, the Ignite curriculum is available to anyone. You don't have to come to the Learning Lab. In fact, when we were drafting the Ignite curriculum, the pilot school was Sterling Heights Stevenson. We were able to work with Stevenson to employ Ignite as a pilot up there, as it was the biggest high school in the state. They had some of the equipment on hand that they needed. So we were able to work closely with that school. So thank you very much. Anyone in the audience that has kids at that particular school, thank you. Hopefully they had the chance to experience that. But since that pilot, we've rolled it out at our Learning Lab, and we've also rolled it out nationwide with our partner Amatrol, who provides the equipment that you see at the lab and helped create the curriculum. But it really is trying to expose, high school students, maybe some community college students, to the world of advanced manufacturing, have them take a look at it as a career choice. Going further down the timeline of the student life, we are providing a certification program. So even during the pandemic, we've been able to employ our CNC and welding certification classes using American Welding Society standards, National Institute of Metalworking Skills standards. So we know, as the executive said, we're not only looking to prepare people for the jobs of tomorrow, we're worried about jobs of today. And we know that those certifications go a long way. So folks in the audience, if you have people that need to be trained, need retraining, upskilling, whatever it happens to be, talk to us and we can make that happen. Finally, we'll talk about Operation Next. Operation Next is a program that we launched a couple of years ago as a pilot in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, really to give back to our men and women of the military. 6 months prior to their leaving the service, we provided them the opportunity to earn, again, one of those in-demand credentials, welding, CNC, industrial technology maintenance. It went so well at Fort Campbell that the Department of Defense funded us to extend that to 9 more bases around the country. One of those that we just announced last year is the Michigan National Guard and Reserve. So anybody that's in the National Guard and Reserve and their families can participate in Operation Next to earn one of these credentials free of charge to be able to get that next job in advanced manufacturing. So we encourage you to reach out to us on that. We also, through the CARES Act that was passed by Congress last year, able to take Operation Next and expand it into industry. So in Detroit and in Pittsburgh, we've been able to take Operation Next really to help support small to medium-sized companies. Again, during the pandemic, trying to get them off the mat and regain themselves and train some employees in those welding and CNC operations, trying to get them going and recovering from the pandemic. So that's one of the things we are most proud of. And here's some quick pictures of the Sterling Heights Stevenson kids, students in our facility. We gave them a tour and shown them what was going on. And then this is them in the lab participating in the Ignite program. And mention this again, we are a trusted partner with the Department of Defense. We have any number of contracting vehicles that we can use. Like we said, we work directly with the Department, the Office of the Secretary of Defense. We work with the U.S. Army, work with the U.S. Navy, work with the Department of Commerce. We take pride in the fact that we can rapidly and efficiently get contracts on the table and underway. So again, want to break down barriers to make sure folks can work with the DoD. And then really we borrowed this slide from our friends at Siemens and kind of how smarter manufacturing fits together from materials, processes, and systems, and why we decided to go that route, because it's beyond metallics. We're dealing with additive manufacturing, dealing with robotics, dealing with big data, and we want to make sure that we're looking at this whole system holistically. So invite you to join us and drive American manufacturing into the future, and particularly bringing that technology and talent home to Michigan. So you can reach out to us directly via our website. You can email us, you can call us, you can follow us on our social media outlets. With that, I will end the presentation here, but I will invite you to take our virtual tour, which I will load up in just a second here, so Kevin can walk us around our facility. Let me share that screen.
I'm the designated tour guide today. So
you are the tour guide for sure. So can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So here we go. Again, normally, I mean, we would normally, I think, hold this meeting in person, but appreciate everyone's flexibility and joining us here today virtually. But we won't spend too much time down here because I do want to spend some time with our Q&A. But Kevin, I'll back up over here. And actually, we are in the process of updating this because over the course of the last year, we've done a lot of work as we've been kind of shut down to make some changes to the facility. So Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, this is, so we're going to take a quick walk around. I don't think this tour is actually on our website. If you go to lift.technology, you can take the tour personally at any time. We put this virtual tour together back in 2019. And I sort of find it funny because I looked at it once or twice and I thought this is really neat. We'll never use this, but you know, I'd rather have people come into the facility. And of course, now I eat my words because I use this 3 times a day with everybody, and it's been a fantastic tool. As Joe mentioned earlier on, we're a sandbox. We're an engineering playground. So there's you know, upwards of $50 million worth of equipment in here. A lot of it relates to materials and the processes that related to those materials. So on the left-hand side, there's a large extruder there that we use for development work. We're working with Michigan Tech University right now on a process to extrude magnesium. Magnesium, as you know, is probably is a very volatile material, but it's got some fantastic mechanical properties. So Michigan Tech's been working on ways to bring down the volatility so that it's much more user-friendly in a facility. So that's just one of the projects that we run. And Michigan Tech is just a wonderful university. If you go straight down here, you'll see stamping equipment. We have hydroforming, just regular stamping. On the left side, there's some robots. What I love about the robots is that when the students come into our learning lab, they're always going to look at the robots. I think I like robots. Vicky knows that. It's one of those things. So we have a lot of people coming in just to see our robots moving. On the left-hand side is actually a flexible joining cell where we have a group of robots that we use for, you know, different development work. There's a little video here, so Joe's going to take us into that area in a minute, and we'll see that.
Oh, sorry about that. Moved my mouse too quickly.
So we have a number of robots in the cell that are used for different, you know, we do a number of different projects with that. So we've got spot welding, friction stir welding, and some new technology we're developing called wire arc additive manufacturing, which is WAM. On any given day, there are different processes and different people working on these things. So why don't we just go into the cell and have a quick look at that?
Sure.
Joe? So that's the cell. So we've got two large rails with 4 robots on them. For the defense manufacturers out there, the distance between the rails was predetermined by the fact that we can get an Abrams tank into the facility and put it in there. And one of the projects we have worked on and are working on is how to repair military vehicles in the field very rapidly. So there's some technologies that we're developing with the Department of Defense. I mentioned WAM, there's another one called cold spray, which are rapidly deployed methodologies for repairing vehicles or actually building up other things as well. So that's sort of applications that we look at on the technical side of it. You want to take us to the linear friction welder?
Mm-hmm.
We'll make one more stop at this is a large joining cell. to the left there, it's what's called linear friction welding. So with a tremendous amount of pressure and some friction, the materials are joined together. This is the largest friction welder on the continent, possibly in the world actually. So an application of linear friction welding would be the joining of a wing to a fuselage. It's such a complete weld that it's a weld at a molecular level, and you can actually join dissimilar metals together. So we get some of our membership, people like Boeing and Lockheed will join, and they're doing development work that they will then take into their manufacturing processes. If you had this particular machine in your plant, you really wouldn't want to take it down to do R&D work. I mean, it's such an expensive piece of equipment. So that's part of the purpose of the institutes. We can have equipment that's not used 100% of the time, but it's used on very specific projects when it's needed. And you see that red heat signature there. That is the actual friction welding happening. And again, you can go onto the website and look at these videos at your own time, during your own time. Let's take a walk up to the learning lab, Joe.
Do you want to stop by the CNC and welding area here?
Yeah. So this to the right here, we have our skilled trades training center. So we have two Haas machines. One is a mill, one is a lathe. I don't think we need to run the videos, Joe. I think we have a CNC training that is ongoing right now. So we have training, even during COVID, we have a lot of guidelines in place to make sure that folks are separated and safe while they're learning. There is also a bank of welding cells here. So we teach both welding and CNC operations. And then to the left, if we go up the stairs, we go into the learning lab, where, as Joe mentioned, about 120 students in this lab before COVID. And it's quite brilliant. We have, it's set up, the curriculum that we developed it in conjunction with a company called Amatrol. And the equipment that you see here is Amatrol equipment. This is training equipment. So the students, about 50% of the program is virtual. They go through self-paced modules, they test out on those modules, then they come into this lab and they continue to do the actual performance-based or the physical testing. So that just in front of us here to the left-hand side, you'll see this is a smart factory demonstration unit. It has its own conveyor belt, control systems, and a small robot. So the students get very involved in faults and finding faults and learning hands-on some of the things that you naturally do within a facility. This sort of a neat little setup here. One of the projects that's underway at LIFT is taking this small demo model, and we're creating a full-size version on the high bay floor. So the students can see the demo version, the full-size version, and we're also creating a twin of this, so a virtual twin of it, and then we can complete the entire circle of a digital twin to the physical. As we move down the lab, one of the things I really like personally about it is that the students, they're in here, we focus this program right now on grades 9 through 12, but it's sort of interesting because they get a chance to look out the window, and they're working on basic electrics and hydraulics and mechanical engineering. But when they look out into the high bay, we're working on some of the most advanced development work for the Department of Defense right now, including hypersonic missile technology. So the students not only get to be to get a briefed and understand basic manufacturing capabilities as a pathway to maybe a degree or an apprenticeship, but they also get to see what's going on in the real world, and it's sort of a unique position for the students. LIFT, as I think I mentioned, is a membership organization. We're set up so our members can come in. So this is our large training room here. Members use this on an ongoing basis. So any given day of the week, you'll find board of directors meeting, workshops, training sessions going on here by our members, and it's quite it's a nice place to work. It's a very unique part of Detroit right now. And Joe's just, if you look out the window there, you can see the Detroit railway station that Ford is now converting into an autonomous and connected vehicle center for development work. In fact, the whole area that we're in Corktown is being developed from the railway station to the river back to Detroit over the next few years by Ford. If you look out the window on any given day, you look out the window, there's an autonomous vehicle driving up and down Rosa Parks Boulevard out there. And I haven't seen one crash yet, so that sort of raised my belief in autonomy. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that there won't be any issues. Again, nice facility, plenty of conference rooms, call rooms. Again, membership. It's we're like the golf club of manufacturing. You come in and you make the best of it. So I think that's pretty much the virtual tour. As I said, if you go online, you can walk through that at your own pace. It's very easy to do, and I think if there are any questions, we can probably answer those now, Joe.
Yeah, I know Addie was manning the chat and the Q&A. So we did have a question about getting some involved. So we got Kevin's comment there, and I think that may have been answered. Addie, do we have?
Let me start. Let me start with one question. Yeah, let's start with one question from Julie Fathbrucker, if I'm pronouncing that properly. So how do employees engage with students and graduates from LIFT? So this is a talent targeted question. And so we've got a couple answers for you. First of all, we like to prioritize sort of hand walking all of our graduates to our membership base first. So we're pretty in tune with what the members need in terms of talent. And we know who we're training. And so we, under normal conditions, when we can convene in-house, we've had, and are also looking into how to do this digitally, sort of something that looks a little bit more like a matchmaking job fair. How do we do this virtually is something that we're interested in. We've been looking at some samples of that online. One thing we've done recently is we did a survey of Indeed.com, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, a job posting site. And we're listing internally the sort of the top 25 results of manufacturing in the areas that we're training in, just to reach out. We've reached out to those companies just to kind of create a preliminary onboarding conversation with them to kind of get our feelers out to what the region is looking for and how we might be able to bridge. The other thing that we do internally is work with graduates to have a resume building session where they actually learn to find fit for themselves. So if you're properly posted online, if your job description is really detailed and dialed in, our graduates should be able to, with some support from our side, be able to search and find you. We're constantly looking for ways to do this more directly. And I think the best way to do that is to come into membership and develop a relationship with us. We do, one of the major membership benefits at LIFT is curriculum development. So obviously, if we've worked with you closely to develop curriculum with some of our other partners who are expert in this area and with our in-house expertise and yours, the graduates are going to be filing right into your front door. So there are a couple ways to do it, and it's an evolving function at LIFT. So we're open to creative opportunities to convene conversations that make it really beneficial to our membership and really beneficial to the region. So
yeah, if I could add to that as well, we have on staff, we have a teacher. Actually, the director of our learning lab is Marianne Donahue. Marianne spent 15 years teaching math in Pontiac, so she's very familiar with high school teaching, and I must admit I don't do math on the whiteboard anymore when Marianne's in the room, because it's sort of you know, I'm afraid I'm going to get sent into the corner with a dunce's hat. But if you want to reach out to Addie, or if you want to talk to Marianne about getting involved with the training and what we're doing, then please do. Addie, back to you.
Yeah, Joe, my Q&A, my list view has, okay, there it is again. I thought that this was a really interesting point that was brought up about in digital learning being able to be disseminated to disabled people and the workforce. Does anyone else from the group want to chime in on that? I know it's not something that we're currently specialized in, but I know has been a topic that's been brought up kind of across the airwaves as things have become more accessible for people who can only work online. Was there any more information coming from the chat on that? Because otherwise we can.
Well, we've been working with the UPrep students have been delivering, we've been delivering the Ignite curriculum online. And as we get into smarter manufacturing, connecting the digital to the physical, there's probably going to be more opportunity there, especially on the digital side. So I think that's, it's evolving, as you said.
Yeah, I think the entire talent and education and workforce development area is continuing to evolve. We've done a couple of really fun programs lately, and forced upon us by COVID. A lot of the students, particularly in some of the inner cities, you'll find don't have access to computers or to broadband and these types of problems. So we created a STEM kit program where we have kits which are sent to the students, delivered to their doors, and they work by phone with Marianne and some of our team to build these kits and keep them involved in learning. And they've been doing that all the way through the COVID lockdown. Actually, it's been quite fascinating. And then right now we're working with the Girl Scouts of America, and we've developed a manufacturing badge for the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan. So that's another really cool one. If you're in the Girl Scouts, or you have youngsters who are in the Girl Scouts, tell them to go find out about the badge or contact us, and we can let you know more about that. We're also working with the Boy Scouts, but I have to say they're a lot slower than the Girl Scouts. The girls are really much further ahead. And so we're now going to use that to embarrass the Boy Scouts into working a bit harder. Let's put it that way.
Addie, maybe one more before we wrap it up. I want to make sure we're cognizant of folks' times. We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Someone has chimed in offering actually training resources, advanced computing, and a data center. It looks like network operations center. That's really interesting. Maybe Kevin, you could talk a little bit about how we're developing our network of partners to develop sort of different ways of training, maybe recruitment channels. We're always looking for new students for our training. One of the really great things about our training programs is that we do have funded opportunities. So maybe partnering with some other agencies that already have people who are seeking opportunity.
Yeah, I think probably, and I've said this many times about manufacturing, especially advanced manufacturing, and the pace of technology. The only thing I can say about technology is that the pace of it change is not going to slow down. It's just increasing across the board. Despite COVID, we're seeing very large steps forward. We're seeing, especially in the automotive industry, which we're all very close to, in terms of connected and autonomous vehicles. We've now got this big push we're seeing in electric vehicles. So as technology changes at that rate, one of the difficulties with talent and training is that has to keep up. In fact, it really needs to be ahead of that curve. So, just to answer is there an opportunity to look at data analytics or other methods? We're open. We're very open. We're not You know, we're not a traditional school. We're not a traditional pipeline for education. We're trying to take it beyond that, and we're trying to look at how do we educate people on what's coming, not what, you know, it's the old Wayne Gretzky, you know, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where it's going. I hate that analogy, but it's actually pretty good.
Well, thank you. I think that I want to give Vicki the last word, but thanks to everyone for joining. Please reach out to us directly. You can reach out to us on our website at lift.technology. Hopefully this gave you a sneak peek into the resource that is available at Lyft and here in Michigan, trying to drive manufacturing across the country, but really focused here on Southeast Michigan. So thank you. Vicki, I'll turn it over to you for the last couple of minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Joe, Kevin, Addie, and the entire Lyft team for opening your doors virtually for us to see what you got going on the inside. It's remarkable seeing the transformation that's happened since 2014. You know, just kind of reading some of the comments, it looks like there's still a hunger and a thirst to get to that talent pipeline. And so some of the programs that you roll out, even though it may not happen process oriented, intrinsically, there's a pipeline here. When you upskill these individuals, especially with the stuff that you're doing with Operation Next, you know, getting those Army reservists upskilled, you know, finding their next employer is going to be important. So you guys end up becoming that pipeline just naturally. And we're excited that this is an opportunity for our businesses to really tune in to what you have happening there, both on the technology side and the talent side. So we appreciate you guys hosting this for us, for the manufacturers and the companies that are on the call. You know, feel free to reach out to Lyft. We will be sending out a follow-up, so you will have contact information coming your way. If it's anything from the county that we can do, aside from making this connection to Lyft, please feel free to reach out to us as well. So thank you, everyone. It looks like we've got a minute left here. Any other questions, just feel free to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks, Vicki. Thanks. Appreciate it.